My name is Jan Gindin. I'm a CPA, CVA, FMBA, founder of a boutique valuation and litigation support practice, and an affiliate of Reichman Consulting. And with us, we have Yigal Reichman.
Thank you, Jan. I am the managing partner at Redmond Consulting and the person that supervises valuation engagements at our.
Hey, let's talk about the standard of value in matrimonial valuation. As Shakespeare wrote, it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. But in matrimonial valuation, one can lose a lot. So let's see and discuss the differences between the standard of value, between the revenue ruling 5960 that we are guided by and that defines elements of fair market value, and the matrimonial valuation standard of value. And let's review some of the differences. For example, in revenue ruling 5960, we have a hypothetical willing buyer and a hypothetical willing seller. But that is not always true in the matrimonial valuation.
What happens in the matrimonial, the parties are non-hypothetical. So the in-business money spouse that is not willing to sell or dispose the business is a real concern or real factor in the value of the entity or the company in a matrimonial.
Okay, let's take a look at another difference. Willing parties are acting under no compulsion to engage in a transaction. Again, that does not hold true for the matrimonial valuation.
There's no compulsion to dispose of the property. The husband and wife or the spouses may be under some form of compulsion to dissolve their union. And there's a question of timing. The timing may not be ideal for dissolution of the particular asset or selling of the particular asset. So that could affect the matrimonial estate.
Okay.
For example, if a business is in a growing phase, then the value may only reflect part of it. Or if the business is in a post-growing phase, the value may be overstated.
And lastly, both parties know all relevant facts and have informed access to all of the available information. However, again, that does not always hold true in matrimonial valuation.
That's correct, Jan. Although theoretically we can say that that's the case, there are scope limitations that commonly happen. Dissenting spouses often don't have access to the information, and it's also institutional knowledge that the owner, whose one spouse has and the other spouse does not have and may never have. So it's not an even playing field between the buyer and the seller as they are hypothetically in the standard.
So given these significant differences between the revenue ruling 5960 and the matrimonial standard of value, what then drives the standard of value used for matrimonial valuation?
Well, it's a judicial response. The different judiciary areas have a different standard of their own. For example, in New York, the discount for lack of marketability is not available to the valuation at all. And in California, there are certain states, certain standards that require the valuation to be done in a certain way. So it's really based on the judiciary authority and not so much on the standard.
As we've mentioned, normally we would consider all elements of business value present in the economical activity: income or cash flows, risk-adjusted rate of return, value of the existing assets, when performing valuation under the fair market value standard. However, if fair market value standard as defined by the court is used in litigation matters involving a marital resolution, then inevitably we have to depart from the approaches taken under the revenue ruling 5960 guided valuation. Let's take a look at some of the major elements that are impacted. No synergies are considered under the fair market value income under the revenue ruling 5960. However, that's not the same in the matrimonial standard of value.
That's correct, Jan. The synergies are traits that retaining spouses may add to the value drivers. For example, you may have, as we'll discuss in the future, discussion, we may have a personal goodwill, or we may have synergies of multiple companies owned by the same individual that cannot be obtained directly through a valuation standard report.
Let's take a look at another difference. Discounts contemplated under the fair market value. However, discounts are not contemplated under the matrimonial valuation.
Before, in New York, for example, the discount for lack of marketability is not available. There could be other discounts that the finder of fact may want to modify in real time or in some ruling that all the parties have to adhere by, including, for example, specific company discount, which is a lot of the time rather subjective.
Lastly, under the hypothetical sale, liquidity is assumed, meaning that the sale is expected to conclude if the parties are willingly entered into, and there would be no restriction on transfer of the liquidity. Again, not necessarily true under the matrimonial standard.
Two ways this can go. First of all, there's no money exchanging hand in the first instance. So there's no seller and buyer. It's simply saying what the value would have been. But in reality, that's not the case. And secondly, it could affect a payout arrangement between the spouses, which is really not part of the hypothetical sale that is established under the strict standards.
Okay. Join us next time as we continue our discussion of matrimonial valuation and other relevant differences between the Revenue Ruling 5960 and the matrimonial valuation standard, not the list of which is goodwill that we will discuss in the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.